Supervisors. I'd like to call the meeting to order. The agenda is to review the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Santos, a second by Nathan. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item number 3 is discussion of possible action to approve claims dated June 15, 2020 in the amount of $803,902.63. I have a motion by Scott, second by Doug. Is there any discussion? Favor? All in favor,
breath.
please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. What happened to me there? Item number 4 are items with Mike Nolan of Horizon Architecture. Mike, are you on the phone this morning, Mike?
Yep, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you fine. Can you hear us?
Yep, got you loud and clear. Good morning. How is everybody?
Doing well.
Good.
Okay, item 4A is an action to affirm approval of COR 13R electrical modifications amount of $1,817.10 for the Muscatine County Maintenance Facility Project.
Yep, so this is, I'll give a quick explanation here. So, more or less, we're not quite the punch list yet, but we've been doing some walkthrough to make sure that we're catching everything. So a couple minor things here. We have a disposal spec, but we did not have the switch or the outlet on plan, so we're gonna get that added. And then we did an IT walkthrough with Bill Riley, and just looking at the location of the cabinet, we decided we need to push it up a little bit higher to coordinate to have storage access inside the room where it's located, and then kind of turn it on a wall. We also wanted to add some power points there for that. So that's what we're essentially doing here. And then we need to do a little patching and repair on the wall. This was to get wrapped up. I asked Nancy to approve this last week as American Electric was on site to keep the work moving. So that's what you're seeing here for this change.
Okay, any questions?
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Santos,
Second.
second by Nathan. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Mike, did you want to do a quick update on projects?
Yep, you bet. So on this project, we are by stage to be back on site to wrap up the siding and the interior work. After that, we're going to get the site final grade and some of those things established. Electric is done except for a couple of devices for the fire alarm system. We're just awaiting those from Johnson Controls. They've been having a few supply chain challenges, but again, we're in pretty good shape with that. That's what we're really waiting for, to get the siding wrapped up and then the exterior, and then we'll do a final punch list on the project. Some things that we saw in our walkthrough, I actually just got a change order I need to review for the transition to the shower, something we pointed out there. And then I've also been pushing to get the reconciliation for the unit cost for the underground. I was told I should have that today, so if I don't, I will have another call with Mr. Swanson. We need to get that going. Sherry wants that so we can close out fiscal year. So again, I appreciate everybody's patience as we wrap this up. I think that Swanson pushing as hard as they can, just trying to keep everybody focused and on task as we work through, obviously with COVID, the changes there. But quality is good on the building. We've got a few minor things that we'll be keeping our tabs on. But other than that, obviously like to have it done faster, but the progress is being done in a quality manner, and that's what I think we need to focus on. On the deputies' quarters, I talked to Blaine this morning. We should have a full schedule for that sometime today, which I'll be able to share kind of the duration of the project here, hopefully next week. They are on site today, so he was going to go set some elevations, get the site contractors working. We had a chance to do a walkthrough on site with both with the county engineer and with the deputies, so everybody has a good comfort level of how we're going to approach the site logistically. What you expect to see this week is we're going to get excavated for foundations. We're going to go ahead and clear the topsoil, and we're also going to go ahead and install the culvert for the second driveway. And you can probably expect to see that used as a construction entrance for a portion of the project. Understanding, we just passed along to them that the county wants very limited use on that. We wanted to make sure we had, or the city as well, we wanted to make sure that we had that in place, that there is a paving project on the county engineer site that will be potentially happening this year. We want to make sure that we are keeping that one drive open and not impacting that operation at all. So, getting ready to get going.
Okay. Any questions for Mike or comments?
Mike, yeah, I got a question for you. Mike, on the county building that we have right up here, the maintenance building, I'm sorry. Are we doing any follow-up on the existing cracks that were put in as far as the concrete? Some of the one, like one of them in the break area, and then I think one of them in the new bays that they just opened up. More concerned about the one in that break area. Is that one of the punch list items you guys are following up on?
Yes, that's one that we've called out. That's been in progress for about 2 months. And then also the ones in the page, they got that cleaned up. We have that added as well. What we're going to likely do, and we're working with the structural engineer, is get a specification on an epoxy injection for that. Talking through the issues, essentially what they think happened is just with the timing of the pour and with the saw cutting is that most likely we just didn't get the saw cuts in the window, and that's why you're seeing the presentation where it is. Not anything to be overly concerned about, but certainly something we'll get addressed. So what we'll do is the plan is to specify them to route that out and then install an epoxy and then bring that back to level again. So that is, we won't accept the building with those cracks in place. The one up by the break room, that one is already addressed, and that's going to be taken care of at some point this summer by the person that did the polishing of the concrete floors. But yes, we are tracking those. We will get those corrected and basically put you through our satisfaction prior to accepting the building.
Okay. Thank you.
Mike, did you have anything else for the board this morning?
That's pretty much it. We'll talk with Sherry on timing of this. We're going to wrap up the design for the jail roof replacement. That's going to be here within a week or so, and then we may decide whether to bid that, start the bidding this year or wait until the next fiscal year. Probably a difference of a couple of weeks either way. Following that, once we get all that stuff in order, I had a chance to sit down with the new county attorney and talk through a little bit on his project. You'll be seeing the design, task order for that, and then the jail addition as well. So getting geared up to get this round closed out and then get ready for the next round of projects. So, I'm excited to see some things come together and, keep going.
Okay. Anybody have anything else for Mike? Thanks for your time this morning, Mike.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Have a great day. Stay well.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, item number 5 are items with the Planning and Zoning Administrator, Eric Furness. 5A is discussion and possible action to approve resolution 06-15-2001, approval of the combined preliminary and final plat of Wendo Edition subdivision.
Morning.
Good morning, Eric.
This is a fairly simple agricultural subdivision. It was necessitated by the fact that a few years ago, the owner had split off a house and put an ag. His children now use it by just, he's gonna retain the agricultural building, couple bits of the whole building, but because there being the previous split, it required subdivision, platting. So no new entrances, it doesn't change the permitted uses on the property, still remains zoned agricultural. It just allows them to split the house one more time from the property. So there'd be a total of 3 parcels where there was originally one large farm parcel. So he's retaining the ag buildings and selling the house. It was a unanimous approval by the zoning commission, and there was no correspondence or objections.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Nathan and a second by Santos. Is there any discussion? This is a roll call vote. Nathan?
Aye.
Santos?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Item 5B is just a review of the special use permits granted by the Muscatine County Board of Adjustment at their June 5th, 2020 meeting.
So there was a number of cases, as you're aware, we did not have a meeting for 2 months for board adjustment, so there was a number that we couldn't catch up to. We ended up having a remote meeting. And there was, I believe, 6 cases for the board adjustment, and then a couple later in the afternoon. So the first one was a special use permit that was actually denied. I don't know how much detail you guys normally just review special use permits granted, but this one was for rural residents out on the North Highway 6 near the Johnson County line. CSR was like 84, it's considered prime farm ground. There was a house across the road in Johnson County that didn't meet our separation distance. So they denied that special use request per our special use permit ordinance on rural residences. Then case number 2 was an application of Interstate Power and Light. This was for a electrical substation on Highway 38. They owned a small parcel of ground there for a number of years, applied for a special use permit to construct an electrical substation. That is a special permitted use in the A1 zoning district. There was no correspondence or objection to that, so that was granted. Case number 3 was a similar case. This was off Highway 38 near 170th Street. There's an existing Citgo substation there. They had last year obtained some additional adjoining property from the neighboring farmer and expanded that site a little bit. That case was actually tabled. Again, this was a remote meeting using GoToMeeting platform. The applicant actually had a hard time getting connected in, so we had skipped that agenda item and we decided to table it instead of just denying it, because we came back to the case later when the applicant from Citgo had joined us, but by that time some of the surrounding property owners who were interested had dropped off the call, so they felt it was not appropriate to take up the case again, so that remains tabled. We wanted to make sure everybody in the surrounding area had the opportunity. So that one was tabled until next month. Case number 4 was a special use permit for a telecommunications tower. There's a Windstream internet tower down by Les on Mr. J. Kemp's property. It met all the setback requirements, fencing requirements on the site plan. So that was approved for a Windstream tower. I would note we were kind of pleased that the Windstream finally started kind of playing by the rules. We've had a lot of requests where they were attempting to put power poles, they were calling them power poles or utility poles in the road ditches. Keith and I and Alan had kind of worked with them and said, no, these are the same as cell phone towers. We have a special use permit process. So they're on board. They're now applying for permits to put down private property on leased ground, meeting our setbacks. It's an issue that's statewide. There's been some issues with multiple other counties in the stream, but apparently they're playing ball now, so we're pretty pleased with that. Case number 5 was a special use permit for a auto salvage and metal recycling business down off of 41st Street and Stewart Road. That case was actually tabled as well. There was some concerns from one of the adjoining property owners. The Board of Adjustment wants to take a closer look, asked me to gather some more information, specific distances from a number of adjoining structures and other land uses. So that case was tabled. It hit your email just this morning, so I was replying to it.
Appreciate that, thank you.
And then finally, case number 6 was a special use permit for a rural residence off 215th Street, just west of Independence. That one was granted for a rural residence that had the low CSR threshold and separation distance from other existing residences. So they did grant a special use permit for a rural residence on the Eichelberger property.
Okay. Any questions or comments from Eric on that? These are just a review item. We don't have to take any action.
When would we find out any information from the Board of Adjustments on the recycling center?
Well, that case will be on for July.
Okay.
Again, they tabled it till July, so I'll be gathering some additional information, so they'll rehear that case in July. Yeah. I have some information that the owner may be or the applicant may be rethinking the potential use, so I'll be meeting with him again as well to see if he wants to continue with this endeavor. He's trying to be sensitive to neighbors too, and he has some options.
I'm glad that they're getting the NPDS permits.
Yeah, that's required. I've been in contact with the DNR on this type of operation. They're aware this person currently operates that facility down there, so he knows the DNR regulations. DNR knows him.
Good.
So.
Okay.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
The next item with Eric is the discussion possible action to approve 11 upcoming special event permits for Arden Creek Vineyard and Winery as requested by Mike Furlong. Article 3, Section 3.26 of the zoning ordinance allows native wineries or cider mills as a special use subject to specific requirements, including Board of Supervisor approval of any special event at which 1, wine will be sold for on-site consumption, and 2, attendance of more than 35 persons is anticipated.
So as most of you probably recall, this was part of their their original approval when we adopted it as a native winery, special use permit process that Arden Creek was granted a number of years ago. I just want to say it's worked very well. I think we can all be pretty proud of that operation out there. We haven't had any problems. There was a little bit late getting our schedule. I had to contact them a couple times, but so far I cannot recall any issues with parking. They have plenty of off-street parking. They rent porta potties when needed, so I don't think we've had any issues with any of their events, but they're required as part of their approval to supply you with a list of their scheduled events where that on-site consumption of more than 35 people will be.
I'll move to approve that, and I'd like to express my condolences. I was out there yesterday at the visitation for Mike Furlong, who has passed away as one of the founders, obviously, of the Arden Creek. His wife Diane plans on continuing it. Obviously, it's a bit of a challenge right now, but again, just deepest sympathies to the family, and appreciate that they've always been a good neighbor and good resident.
I will second.
Okay, I have a motion by Nathan and a second by Scott. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. And I will say thank them again. They've been very, very good about coming in with their events every year, and we just have never had a problem. We really appreciate them working with us on that. Okay, we got more for Eric. Okay, item D, you got half the agenda today, Eric. Item D is discussion regarding vacated appointments of the Muscatine County Zoning Commission and Muscatine County Board of Adjustment.
So a while back, I know I made you aware of some proposed legislation and that has now been signed by the governor, specifically House File 2512, dealt with some changes in how the county zoning deals with farm exemptions, Board of Adjustment, comprehensive plan amendments. That there's a whole number of things. I think you're all by this time familiar with that legislation. It was signed by the governor 2 weeks ago. One of the immediate effects that we felt from this legislation was that it requires that all zoning commission and board of adjustment members must reside in the unincorporated areas, Muscatine County. Previously, state law required that you maintain a majority of members that live in the unincorporated areas, but we were allowed to have a few, which, as you all are aware, it can be challenging finding volunteers for these spots. The law went into effect upon the governor's signature, and it called for the immediate vacation of any person who does not meet those new board membership guidelines. So we lost one member. That's actually the same member. We had a member that served on the zoning commission and the board of adjustment, whose position is now considered vacant upon her signature. So just wanted to be aware. I think I made my frustrations with the proposed legislation in several facets of it clear before. We talked to some of our legislators without getting too much detail. There was some sentiment that certain counties were adopting anti-agricultural land use policies, and the state felt they needed to step in, and we as zoning officials feel that it could have been done differently with more of our input. This is some fallout from it. It's going to make it more difficult to find members. Through the years, we would have a member or two from Wilton or West Liberty, some of our more rural towns, and now they're just not eligible to even serve in those roles. So we once again have a vacancy on both those boards.
So board members, and I guess we'll probably publish for interest in any board members, because these have been difficult to get, and they must be a rural resident. So if you know anybody that might be good, I'd like to find some people that are good and on the process too. Somebody that would be good on the good candidates. Please see if they'd be willing to serve.
And
I think Barry said the pay is outstanding.
Yeah.
$5 a month or something, he gets his reimbursed for his mileage.
Right.
Yeah, so this is public service.
It truly is, and it's often a thankless job, in a community our size. They're making decisions that affect their neighbors, and no one likes to be told no, when they make a request. And when you look at land use policy, it can create some conflict, the decisions they have to make. And so we really value those people who volunteer their time to sit in those positions. So I think it's just gonna make it harder, but
Eric, when we post those positions, do we share physically where they have to live, maybe a big map of some sort, kind of saying, hey, this is the highlighted area, if you lived in these areas? Because you just mentioned, like, if you live in Wilton or you live in West Liberty, what is considered the rural areas that would qualify for somebody that would be living in?
long as you're not in
What I'm saying is, you can tell me, but do we share that when we post these positions?
Well, we haven't previously because we didn't have a restriction other than we must maintain a majority of the membership
Okay.
living in the unincorporated areas. So as long as we had at least 3 members that lived in any unincorporated area in Muscatine County, we could have up to 2 that could live in the city of Muscatine or the city of Wilton or West Liberty.
I see. I see.
Now, if that is an incorporated town, residents of that town, if that is your residence, are ineligible to apply.
So we'll certainly add that wording to the
Wondering if that may help, or at least get some, I'm just throwing that out there as a potential, if that would help at all, I don't know.
Well, I mean, like Nancy said, I think the intent would be to clarify that so people aren't applying that aren't eligible. So, that's just an update on that and how we got to where we are with this current plan. We're actually fortunate compared to some other counties. I know some other counties that have lost 2 and 2 from each board, and they're really scrambling at people that have served for years and have a lot of knowledge and experience and serving. And so they're, there's obviously counties that are even considerably less populated than ours that have a smaller pool of people to work to choose from.
That's a bit of a challenge with these zoning positions and Board of Adjustment is that they are a little bit technical. And there takes a little training, and experience is quite valuable for them to help you. So, well, it is kind of what it is. I know I had conversations with legislatures too, and it wasn't, we couldn't stop it. So, okay, item number E is action to set public hearings on 2 rezoning requests for Monday, July 6, 2020 at 9 a.m.
So moved.
Have a motion by Nathan,
Second.
second by Scott. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item F is discussion of possible action authorizing the chair to execute a sub-award agreement between Iowa Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management and the Muscatine County for the Muscatine County Property Acquisitions Project.
So this is our, what's commonly referred to as a FEMA buyout project. We've received notification that we have preliminary approval for the amount that we requested that would enable us to acquire and demolish 3 properties in Muscatine County. 2 are in the floodplain, 1 is along the Mississippi River near Mount Goodyear, 1 is not far from the Cedar River in the Pike Run area of Rural Nichols, and then finally the Antrim property that's had the landslide or shifting soil issue that's heavily damaged. So we've been granted this award. So it would be in the total amount of the sub-award is $541,558. Federal share of $406,168.50, and the local share would be $54,155.80. Excuse me, that's the state share, would be the $54,155. The local 15% is $81,233. If you recall from previous conversations, we will be going for a CDBG grant to cover local dollars. I'm still being told that it looks like it's coming. They are working on their rules and their application process at this time on that. So we will certainly be applying for those CDBG dollars, so we can hopefully accomplish this project without any local funds being used. They're thinking maybe September that those CDBG dollars would be available.
And these parcels then that are affected, those would come over to county ownership then at that point?
Correct. They would be deed restricted and be required to deed a perpetual green space. We would look at just leveling part of the demolition contract, level and seed those in a very low maintenance mix. Most of the ones along the Cedar River, so these river areas become more just a natural area. There's not hardly any mowing involved. If there's an adjoining neighbor, I believe FEMA allows them to use it for extra yard space. They just cannot construct anything on it. So we've been fortunate in other areas along the Mississippi River where we bought those in the past that neighbors maintain them. But essentially, like the one on Sweetland Road would just become like wooded trees, roadside, just like much of Sweetland Road Hill is.
Yep. Okay. So I would accept the motion.
Move to approve.
Have a motion by Santos, second by Doug. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Other, do you have anything else this morning for the
I
board,
guess
Eric?
the last thing, just an update, I did meet with Power and Water in a resident late last week. They are finalizing the electrical transmission line project. They were down to their last 2 residents that were signing leases, so I believe that's a good thing that they were able to accomplish this, with voluntary easements. There's no indication they're gonna have to go for any utilization of eminent domain. They worked really hard to address the concerns of some of the rural landowners, some of the farmers, and it looks like they've got 100% volunteer sign-on that project. They were literally witnessed the last 2 signatures. I think the last one was scheduled for this week, so they'll be able to make their application to the Iowa Utility Board now that they have all those lease agreements signed, and so wasn't always an easy road when it started off, but I do want to commend Power and Water and doing what it took to get people to voluntarily agree. They really turned that ship around and got off to kind of a rocky start. So.
Yeah, I really appreciate Power and Water and actually the local residents for, sitting down kind of face to face and working through these issues. And I know Doug, you were
Power and Water's been fantastic.
pretty, you were pretty helpful in.
Do they have any idea when they wanna start the project that they said?
It really depends. It sounds like the application to the Iowa Utilities Board can be kind of a lengthy process. They really don't know how soon they can get approval. He's still hoping maybe he wants to do a lot of the construction during winter time to avoid the compaction damage to the farmers. So that's gonna be a pretty tight, optimistic timeline from what he's telling me. Ryan Streck from Power and Water. But now it'll be as soon as IUB can turn things around. So.
Good. Okay. Thank you, Eric. Anything else?
Thank you. So.
Okay. Next on the agenda, item number 6, items with the county engineer Keith Wayne.
Good morning.
Good morning, Keith. Looks like you don't have utility permits, just like a project update this morning is all I have listed, huh?
That's correct. On the Culverts 2020 project, which is Echo Avenue 120, second half 70, culvert liners. Triple B, they're basically doing punch list work on 122nd and starting the culvert liners towards the west end of 170 west of Kelly, installing those. On the F-58 culverts and subdrain project, there's a larger box culvert, precast box culvert there that some of the sections delivered were damaged, so new ones have been ordered. That's slowing things down there. Waiting on delivery of new sections. The 120th Street bridge replacement, the box culvert project up there again, it stayed too wet for the contractor to get in and do the finish grading. We know there's one ditch that's standing water that they have to fix. And then the paving project has continued on G28. I'm gonna say slowly but steadily. They're paved up from Independence past High Prairie, but still have to finish the High Prairie connection. The prime PCI has been shouldering on that finished piece. They're about half done. They'd like to get that portion of the project open, and paving days are planned. They're paving today for Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week. Let's say the current weather forecast, they're maybe not paving Friday. That changes every hour. So, really all in all, making pretty good progress on that project. Questions on the project?
So that G28, how, would you say they're about 50% complete? 20?
No, by distance, they're about 40%, but it really gets more complex as you get closer to town and there's more staging and closure, so I'd say they're closer to maybe 30%.
On the 120th Street project, is they're just waiting for the weather for that to dry up a little bit so they can clean that ditch. Is that what's causing the
That's
problem right
correct.
there?
Well, that's what we believe. We'll go check it out if there's a tile involved there. Other questions?
You have anything else this morning,
Yeah, a
Keith?
couple things on other. We did have some flooding in the Cedar River last week. So 245th went under, it is under. 152nd went under, and it's back off of it for now. But we already have complaints. And I just want to, I was on that road not last week, the week before, and I believe it was the best I've ever seen it in my time. The river comes up and changes what we do. And that's an ongoing situation there. Also wanted to mention, as we come into the fiscal year here, watching the budget, we may have, gonna have to watch closely. Our deadline for claims is a week from tomorrow. Don't know if we'll have our trucks finished and delivered and invoiced by then. Don't wanna make that be dollars lost. So it is possible, our second motor grader is setting in Cedar Rapids. So I have talked to them about invoicing the second motor grader. I may end up pay that bill if we don't have the other expenditures to make. That's one that we did say was gonna be the beginning of the fiscal year. And Caterpillar is quite willing to not start the warranty until we put it in service. If we did purchase it, we wouldn't actually put it into service right away.
Okay.
Probably would wait until the August time frame.
Did we ordered two this year, correct? We traded them in, I guess, whatever.
But
They kind of worked.
we ordered 3 with expecting one to come yet this fiscal year, which we have done. And expecting the other one. They're all timed for when their buyback runs out. So right now, we're in a time frame when the guaranteed buybacks are higher than the market value. So we're exercising buybacks. And so the next one's up in August, and that was the second. Then the next one's up in next May, a year from now. And those are all, I think we have 1 or 2 more that have good buybacks on them, and then the buybacks get lower, so we will. We always, I said in the past, historically, CAT had always given us more trade value than the guaranteed buyback, but frankly, the global market is what drives that. Lots of times our machines would go overseas as they have the new Tier 4 engines and emission control. There is no overseas market for them anymore. So the buybacks are going down. I think that's all we have.
Okay, anything else for Keith?
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks.
Okay, item number 7 is discussion of possible action to approve the minutes of the June 8th, 2020 regular meeting and the June 9th, 2020 special meeting.
I have just one note on that. Looking at the minutes to the special meeting, it doesn't say that Scott was present.
Right, it lists Jeff twice.
Same thing.
Must be something about us. Huh?
Remember that happened in a meeting in
So,
December.
this one.
There's confusion between you two.
I don't think it does.
It doesn't mention Jeff twice, but yes, I
Well, it
missed-
says Holiday Sorensen, Madison, Cedar, but it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't have Scott. But then it, on the very next line has Scott making a second, which is,
yeah, I know, I realize I missed that.
so I would move to approve with the
Amendment.
amendment that Scott was present at the Tuesday meeting as well.
Okay, a motion by Nathan,
Second.
a second by Doug. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Okay, next on the list is correspondence. Santos?
I had a few of them. I had a call on the recycling center that, for the special use permit that we had discussed, and I emailed to you guys. I also had a call from a resident happy with the amount of people that we had down at Deep Lakes, just commenting about, the great facility that we have there, and they've already gone in there and taken their kids there a few times, and how busy it's been, and they're really happy about what we're doing there. So that was a real positive thing from that aspect of it. I got a few emails in regards to, one of them was from Bi-State, giving us the budget on 6-9, and then another one on, from ISAC in regards to the checklist that they're gonna have us look at for the opening of the courthouse. I don't know if you guys all got those as well too. That's all I had.
Okay, Nathan?
I did not have any correspondence.
I had nothing to note. Scott?
I had contact from a resident in regard to county regulation, in regard to the fireworks ordinance, and I talked to Eric on that issue, and Eric's going to email him that particular information. That's all I had.
June 8th, I got a call from Claudia Putnam, with their concerns about no recycling in Muscatine County, and about bottle and can redemption, and I told her that is open, and she can take bottles and cans in there. Wednesday, June 10th, I got a call from Kurt Kirschner about the drainage problem on 120th, and I called Keith, talked to him about it, he was already aware. And Friday, I got a call from Gene Wilkerson on the same thing. And then, talked with Becky, all good about coordinating, and talked to Sherry about getting the cannon out from underneath the steps and get it moved up to Wilton. Sounds like quite a project.
It will be. I don't think that's light.
Can't put it on a two-wheel dolly.
No,
Couple guys and a pizza, will get them
they're getting it
right.
figured out, and they're working with, we have a name, Scott, that is working.
Scott Busser.
Yeah, has talked to Becky and plans to be there to help and show them how to dismantle it.
Okay,
That's all I have.
very good. What about committee reports, Doug? Any committee
No
reports?
committee reports. The only thing I will say is this coming Saturday, June 20th at 11:30 is the harness horse races in West Liberty. And last night was the MLRA race. Never got a final count. They said at least 2,500 people
Wow.
showed for that last night, so,
They were happy with their turnout?
yes.
Very good.
That's it.
Okay, Scott?
I had no committee reports.
Okay, I had, on the 8th, I had the Mississippi Valley Workforce Committee meeting. And I will note that they approved, they had the Title I service provider contract was review committee made their recommendation, the board approved it. So we'll see how that goes. I'm hearing that maybe the unsuccessful bidder is contesting the award, so we'll see where that goes. But again, July 1st, we have to have a new service provider. We have 2 American Job Centers, one in the Quad Cities, one in Burlington now that we're responsible for. And the contractor in the Quad Cities did not apply, did not submit to the RFP. And so we'll see where that goes. Then on the 12th, they also had the WIOA office hours, they call it, so this is more guidance. This is a state call every other week, guidance on implementing the new WIOA legislation that we've been working hard on. And then on the 12th, they also had a meeting with the levy stakeholders commission, and we had a meeting set up with a joint meeting with the city to do a review. I think we need to kind of try to get that rescheduled quickly here. There's a lot of action going on with levy stakeholders, and I'll probably try to reach out to board members and some of you that may be more aware. This has been a project or issues that have been going on since about 2013. We've been working on issues down there, and we're making some traction and headway, and this board might be required to make some decisions here in the near term. So we need to get everybody up to speed and talk about that.
You think that, I mean, we could do that one over Zoom. I mean, we had such a good success when we had the one that we had for the.
Yeah, I think
the
maybe
trip.
I'll reach out to the mayor today and talk to her and see if maybe we just say, hey, we really need to do this. Maybe we do it with a Zoom or Microsoft. We could do GoToMeeting or whatever.
Yeah.
We have that now in that technology, so that's a good
I mean,
suggestion.
it might be easier for that versus us trying to find a location where we all
Right.
can meet.
And the public
And the public can still
public
get
can
in
still
on it.
participate
Yeah.
as well. So that's a good. I'll try to get that scheduled or talk to the mayor about that. And then that was it for me last week. So Nathan.
On Friday, I had the board meeting of the 7th Judicial District Correctional Group. We did an evaluation of the director, Waylon McCullough, largely favorable. We also had, only thing that gave me a little heartburn is we were talking about periodic pay increases for the staff. And because of the COVID-19 issue, as we know, the legislature had not finalized the appropriations for the corrections department. So there was a recommendation by the administration to give a 2.1% across the board pay increase to staff, and also to authorize a 3% merit-based increase for anybody who got a satisfactory or better rating who wasn't already maxed out. My concern, I raised a concern, I was the only one, not with the 2.1% because that matched everyone at the state, but I said with the 3% merit increase, we don't know yet what we have. Ever since I've gotten on that board 3 years ago, we've heard about the terrible impact that budget cuts are having and how we don't have any money. So I said maybe we should wait to find out what money we do have before we do vote the 3% pay increase. I was apparently the only one who had that concern. So I asked that when the motion was made, it included both the 2.1 and the 3.0 increase. I pointed out that most folks out in the real world are not looking at a pay increase, and they're lucky if they've not had a pay decrease and they still have their job. But the motion was made to combine the two. I asked for the motion to be separate, so I wouldn't have to vote against the entire thing. That was refused, so I ended up abstaining from it and just wanted to share my concerns with the board that we're spending money before we know we have it. Never liked doing that. And again, I wasn't saying no, I was saying let's see if we have it before we give it out. The other thing we had, we didn't have a meeting, but because of the nature of grants and money that gets transferred around, the decategorization board frequently is made aware of opportunities for grants and transfers. And we learned that Juvenile Court Services is transferring, or wants to transfer, $46,800 to the Muscatine County Decategorization Board. It's all state money. The vast majority of it is going to go to the resource navigators in the schools. That's about 3/4 of it. So, and the rest will be split among some other groups, but that's a very worthy program, and I'm pleased to announce that.
Very good. That's it.
That's it.
Santos, did you have any?
I had no meetings.
Okay. Item number 10 is items with the administration office. Item 10 is discussion possible action to approve resolution 06-15-2002 approving the amended 2080 agreement for the Eastern Iowa Mental Health Disability Services Region. And I'll just take, last week when we had this on the docket, there was a number of concerns that Nathan made on clarifications that I had a conversation with Ken. We're actually meeting this afternoon again, and kind of where we are in the process. This is a lengthy, difficult process to go through to get all the counties, all the boards to do resolutions. So what I'd ask this board to consider is adopting it. We have the noted concerns. We have them on a list, and as you note in the new 2080, we're gonna do an annual meeting. And so the thought is we're gonna collect all the concerns from all the counties, we'll roll those into one, and then in that annual process now, we'll be able to address updates to 2080. I think most of you are aware, one of the challenges with this 2080 is it hasn't been updated since 14, is that correct, Nathan?
I believe so.
When-
Well, when it was,
When we initially did the regions, and we are operating significantly different. So I think an annual look at that 2080 is probably a really good idea. So I'd ask Nancy, because we've already had a couple of counties that had adopted it. So I really didn't, if we go all the way back, would put us back 30 days. And we really need to get it in place for our July 1st so we can get working on the child services,
so the document we got that's for this week's packet entitled Revised 2080, I didn't see any revisions other than they took draft off.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
So, you know, and a lot of my stuff was nitpicky lawyer stuff, which I'm fine with kind of working that out as we go. The one thing that still really worries me is we don't have a quorum defined. And that's, is there been any suggestion in your meetings with Ken as to what the intent was, whether that was 2/3 of all votes or 2/3 of all physical directors?
Ken, he and I had that specific discussion, and he felt that it was 2/3 of the vote.
So if there's 19 votes, what, 13, 14,
Yeah.
I'm bad at math, but.
Yeah, he felt
Okay.
that if it was 2/3 of the vote, we were good to go.
Okay. And I know this isn't directly on point, but Lori Elam mentioned last week, we don't have anybody from the region online, do we?
Felicia's the only one that I see.
Okay, and maybe Felicia can speak to this, maybe not. I noticed that after the meeting, Jeff forwarded the list of Children's Behavioral Health Advisory Committee, the new folks that were going to be there, and it looks like the two parents, the parent representatives, are also employees of two of the providers, which seems to me to be a little bit of a problem.
And Ken and I had that discussion too, and there's a big question in our mind. Neither of us had the answer, and I think we're gonna discuss that at our meeting this week. These advisory committees, it's my understanding that the advisory committees set the members for the board. And so really, we have to go back to that advisory committee, and I believe that would be it will be a topic of conversation today, because even if they're not in a decision-making role, the optics of that are not good, that you have people that are voting on matters, and now they will be voting on fiscal matters when they are part of a service provider network, because that is clearly forbidden in the legislation. That any member on the governing board cannot have a role in a service provider, period. So that's one we have to work through. And I had that conversation with Ken, and he's on board, he agrees with that.
Good.
And he had not picked that up either. And so I think that's something the board needs to have a discussion. We probably need to remand the selections back to the advisory board for reconsideration.
Well, and I understand from what Lori said that the board, the Mental Health Region Governing Board, is obligated to rubber stamp whoever or whomever each advisory committee appoints to the governing board. But who is it that appoints the members of the advisory committee? In other words, who put these folks on?
Yeah,
Do we know?
No, I do not know. So I think this is a
problem.
process question that we
Yeah.
have to figure out. And I think, so at the stage, I think that we're gonna take it up this afternoon in the meeting to address that issue. I will absolutely bring that up and say, well, this doesn't, just in light of everything, that's just not good optics at worst.
Well, I mean, we're looking at approving a 2080 that's going to govern us and basically give up some of our county sovereignty on the assurance that with goodwill we can work this out, and then we see something like this, and that gives me pause. I'm willing to trust, and I trust your ability, Jeff, to make sure no one's screwing around. But boy, it's hard to swallow those things together.
Yeah, I think that, the 2080 does not, the 2080 says there will be an advisory board, but the advisory board members, the actual members on the board is not part of the 2080. And I think it's a great look at that quite frankly, Nathan, I'm not sure that the governing board has seen the appointment list until just this
Until
last
you
week.
asked for it,
Yeah,
and we're
so
supposed to approve that in
that's
2
part of our,
weeks.
that'll be part of our conversation today, further conversation.
What if we, so the governing board has its regular meeting today.
Yes.
I really would like an answer before I vote to approve this thing. Is there any way we can decide on it next week when we at least have the benefit of the meeting, the governing board meeting being held on this?
I don't know that a week makes, what are we, the 15th? We'd have it the 22nd. We just have to have it done by the 30th.
Then I would move to table this decision for 1 week.
I'll second that.
Okay? We don't need to take a vote on a table, do we, Nancy? We can just table it?
You could just table it.
Oh, yeah, we
We
just pull it off.
You guys
and-
okay with that? Doug?
Yeah.
I don't see that it's gonna cause any issue with the timeline.
Okay, okay, I just would really like to hear what clarifications and assurances are offered.
Okay?
Thank you.
Anything else, Nancy?
I don't have anything else.
County employees, any county employees here have something? Bill?
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a quick update that I am working to try to take advantage of some end of the fiscal year incentives that we may be able to take advantage of if we were before the end of the month for some things that we have budgeted for next fiscal year. And this would be the large dollar item that we have budgeted for the replacement of our storage and our host for our virtual network at this location. So, just give you a heads up if there's any questions. We won't be billed obviously until items ship and the consultants work with us to get everything up and going.
Okay, good.
Unless you have anything else for me, that's all I really had.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, seeing no one else. Next item is to receive comments from the public. I had no indications of public wishing to comment. Did you, Nancy? And do we have some callers in, Bill?
We had, Fruitland EMS has unmuted their mic.
So,
Yes.
okay, go ahead.
Yes, this is Don Briggs in Fruitland. Down here, I'm on the fire department's computer, so that's why it says Fruitland EMS. I'd like to see if, I brought it up a couple years ago and I sent an email out earlier this year about trying to get the side-by-sides on secondary roads like Lowaiza County does. I'd like to see discussion, and if I need to get signatures to bring it forward to you, tell me how many I need, and I'll go out and get some.
When you mean side by side.
So you want to talk about ATV, Don, you're talking ATVs on secondary roads, right?
Well, it's the side-by-side UTVs,
UTVs?
and I think Lowaiza UTVs.
Okay. I know this isn't
Try to
just,
follow,
yep. Sorry. Still there, Don?
I'm just saying, try to follow Lowaiza County ordinance. Right now, I think it's 5:30 to 10 p.m. You wouldn't have to, you can go sunrise, sunset, and try it out for that, because it took them a couple years before they expanded their hours on theirs and stuff. Right now, I don't mind, I run down to Lake Odessa and stuff from my house. In Fruitland, I'm legal, and I can get into Lowaiza County without getting into county, but I like to go over to Deep Lakes and stuff, but I like to do it legally.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know how we queue up a discussion like that. That's part of our, what ordinance or where is that even set?
Well, we don't have an ordinance that addresses it now.
We don't, I mean, that's what sets what you can run on a secondary road.
State law is what sets it.
State law, and state law says no, right? And so we would have to adopt a local
There are a few
ordinance.
exceptions, but
Yeah. So it would have to be a local ordinance to go by outside of state law. Is that allowable, or?
there are versions that are allowable.
Okay, it sounds like it's something that we probably need to we could take under consideration and look at what steps we would be required to do. Okay?
Yeah. Yes, and I think Cedar County has one also. I don't know for sure, but like talked to somebody, it's kind of like Cedar County, has a, ordinance on there. Yeah, it's a local ordinance, you could say, you know, what roads and stuff there, because we cannot go on like Highway 61 and stuff, like right now, I wanted to go down to Wapello, I couldn't do it because 99 Bridge is closed, because the only way to get there is if I go 92 to the junction to get, and go through. But yeah,
Okay,
it has to be a local ordinance, and, you know, like I say, Wyden County's got it, you can see what, talk to them and see what, they, you know, what route they went on, you know, I don't care. Or do I need to help you out on some of the stuff? I don't care.
how about we'll get back to you, Don? I think we have to figure out what the process might be, and then we could talk about that. Okay,
Okay.
other comments or questions today, Don? Are there other members of the public, Bill, do you? Okay, thank you. Anybody else have anything for the good of the order? Okay, meeting is adjourned.